Do you want to look at this book that Jane from JDRF brought to us?
Did you know that Lincoln was actually one of the first chapters for JDRF in the whole United States?
It all starts with a very important couple, Steve and Jan Leeper, who didn't know what to do when they found out that their 7-year-old son Mark had type 1.
We had very little help from our physician, who was wonderful, but he knew hardly anything about type 1.
And you remember what he said.
Then go to the store, get some insulin. This is the kind, get syringes. Don't need a prescription? No. And then give him 10 units. Having no idea what the blood sugar was because all they did was urine testing.
So we got off to a very rocky start.
And our new physician said, well, you know, the tables have him as being able to live only until 35. That didn't play well. So we came home and said, okay, I am not going to let him die at 35. We're going to start raising money for research. I was very shy at that time, and I had been reading in the Better Homes and Gardens an article by Lee Ducat, who was JDRF's founder, and I just picked up the phone shaking like a leaf and called her. And I said, I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we have a diabetic son, and how do we get involved? And we became a part of JDRF. The focus was to raise money for research to find a cure for these kids.
And our first attempt at that, actually we didn't raise the money, we were given the money by
Boy Scout troop for $500.
Gave us $500 and we thought we were in heaven. So we came back thinking, how can we raise money off Nebraska football? The balloons, the tradition of releasing balloons when the first points were scored was our first big project. And the first Saturday morning we tried this, we raised $10,000.
This was just whatever you could come up with. For 15 years, we did a Man of the Year dinner and honored men in the community that were good to us. And ironically, the last person for the Man of the Year dinner that we honored was Jim Stewart, who then later his daughter was diagnosed.
So the Stewarts and dozens of other families joined the Leepers in raising money for research and working towards a cure. When Megan was diagnosed in 1997, her entire family became a big part of helping JDRF.
We took her to the doctor and they said, well, she's got type 1 diabetes, and talk about being in shock.
I didn't know what was going on. My mom just took care of me. I remember the finger prick, testing my blood sugar took 40 seconds, and my mom would give me shots. The hardest for me was when I went to college. You get to a point where I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Like, no one else has to deal with it. And I just want to be like everyone else. You know, that only lasts for so long. My parents really believed that JDRF was going to help make my life easier.
We just spent hours and hours and hours doing JDRF things.
Stuffing envelopes. To bring them back to the house.
And just knowing how much this organization cares and how much they have done to improve the lives of Megan and everybody else.
It's been really cool to watch my family members get involved. I feel really grateful that my family has stepped up and really care about me enough to volunteer their time and their money to help find a cure for my disease.
JDRF has one focus, and that is to help people that have type 1 diabetes. And that is a wonderful mission, and that's why we're in it.
Lincoln is such a small community that pretty much everyone in Lincoln knows someone with diabetes. It is kind of a big family. We just do it because we care about each other.
When was I diagnosed?
Well, you got very thirsty, and you were eating a lot, and you were having to go potty a lot. So Mommy and Daddy took you to the hospital, and they did your blood sugar, and it was very, very high. And then they told us that you had diabetes, and Mommy and Daddy were kind of scared.
Why?
Well, we were worried about you because you're a little girl.
You were 2.5 and you just kept saying at the hospital, I want to go home because I'm not sick. But Mommy and Daddy had to learn all about what to do to keep you healthy.
What's the final chapter?
Well, the final chapter is a cure. And all the work that these families have done over the last 40 years has gotten us even closer than ever to finding a cure for you and for everyone else with type 1 diabetes.
In fact, there's a room full of people here tonight that could bring us one step closer.
We were so hopeful in the beginning because they were curing it in mice, which they still are. You can tell from hearing about research today that they are, again, such a complicated disease, and they didn't know that at the time.
From the very outset, our goal was a cure, and we knew that a cure was in the research.
We're adults and, we just deal with stuff. Everyone has their problems. But it's the little kids that pull at your heartstrings, make me really, really sad. It's hard to imagine.
The people that are type 1 are on life support. Just knowing how much this organization cares, we've been very excited about what JDRF has been doing and keeping the focus on finding a cure for this disease.
Will that be the end?
That will be the end.